Coming up tonight, a shooting at a Southern California high school leaves 2 dead and 5 injured.
Oswego joins in the outcry against the new criminal justice reforms in New York State.
And the Bishop of the Buffalo Diocese denies submitting his resignation to the Pope following a sex abuse crisis.
WTOP 10 Nightly News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to WTOP 10 Nightly News. I'm Peter Wendler.
And I'm Stephanie Stoiko.
A teenage gunman opened fire at Saugus High School in Southern California this morning, killing 2 students and wounding 5 before the 16-year-old gunman attempted to take his own life. Authorities say the shooter, whom turned 16 years old today, was in, quote, grave condition when he was rushed to a hospital after shooting himself in the head. At this time, investigators believe the shooter acted alone and did not have a determined motive. Authorities searched for the suspect after the shooting, not immediately realizing that he was one of the 6 wounded. Saugus was placed on lockdown, as were neighboring elementary schools and all of the schools in the Saugus High School District.
Over 2,000 students were escorted from the school by deputies with hands above their heads before transported off campus. The shots were fired just after 7:30 a.m., with the local sheriff's office being called 8 minutes later. The 2 students, a 16-year-old girl and a 14-year-old boy, died at the hospital, while a 15-year-old girl and a 14-year-old boy are being treated. Their conditions are not immediately known. One student from Saugus High School says it is not a matter of politics, but more a matter of human life.
I mean, with politics so tight, there's the whole don't take my guns, but after you're in something like this, don't take my life.
The Santa Clarita community is known as a close-knit one. A lot of the staff are high school graduates. Santa Clarita has had this threat looming over them for a long time, according to Anthony Bresnikan, a parent of one of the children evacuated from the elementary school. The Sheriff's Department will continue to update the community as new information comes to light.
Oswego law enforcement officials are joining the large outcry to the New York State Legislature to ease the onset of the criminal justice reforms impacting bail and discovery laws set to take effect on the 1st of January 2020. Oswego County DA Greg Oak said the reforms will, quote, undermine public safety and dramatically tilt the court system in favor of defendants rather than victims. The concern is that the immediate integration of the reforms will cause detrimental effects on open cases. The New York State Legislature has yet to comment.
A mother in Liverpool is encouraging random acts of kindness to honor the legacy of her daughter following her death. Frida Weeks began a movement that encourages people to buy someone a cup of coffee or leave a positive message for someone after her daughter Heather died after fighting cancer in 2008. People have participated from around the world, posting their random acts of kindness on social media using hashtag #BeKindForHeather, with the movement continuing in strength today in Central New York on the anniversary of Heather's passing.
For the first time, Clinton Square in the city of Syracuse will feature an artificial Christmas tree. To celebrate the holidays, the 42-foot fake tree, which will feature more than 10,000 multicolored LED lights and over 1,000 ornaments, is set to be unveiled during the Home for the Holidays tree lighting ceremony on the 29th of November, which Mayor Ben Walsh says will become a Syracuse tradition with live music, dance performances, and skating in Clinton Square.
Police say a group of dirt bike and ATV riders were caught disrespecting an officer on camera. The incident unfolded at a New York gas station in broad daylight. Jenna DeAngelis reports.
New video shows dirt bike and ATV riders circling an NYPD officer in his patrol car, appearing to taunt him at a Bruckner Boulevard gas station Sunday. According to investigators, this started around 4 p.m. when police noticed the group riding erratically. When approached, one then abandoned his bike. When an officer tried to take the bike into possession, that's when police say the group started riding around him, creating a potentially dangerous situation. At one point, you can see a guy appears to try and grab a yellow bike left by the pump, but runs off as the officer approaches. In the video, the officer could be seen gripping onto his taser, which police say he did not use. Eventually, more officers arrive, and that's when police say the bikes sped off. This isn't the first time cameras captured disrespect toward the NYPD. On Halloween, a cop car was covered in trash in Brownsville. People could be heard laughing, some even taunting the officers while they cleared garbage-filled boxes and broken eggs off the car. And over the summer, several times officers were doused with water.
They violated them?
In the height of these incidents in July, Commissioner James O'Neill spoke out.
I've been a cop for a long time. Disrespecting police officers is not something new. It's never acceptable. It's never been acceptable.
No officers were hurt in the incident, and it doesn't appear any of the bike riders were either. Investigators are asking anyone with information about the bikers to call police.
Bishop Richard J. Malone has dismissed rumors that he had submitted his resignation to Pope Francis by saying they were, quote, absolutely false during a conversation with the Vatican reporter Chris Alteri. Malone has been bishop since 2012 of the Buffalo Diocese, but has been under pressure to resign for more than a year over his handling of the Buffalo Diocese clergy sex abuse crisis. Malone has said he plans to continue to stay on as bishop until he turns 75 and is required under Catholic Church law to resign.
State Attorney General Letitia James is leading the investigation into the formal complaints against the National Grid for misleading its customers. In a statement, James said, quote, National Grid denied necessary service to thousands of New Yorkers in an attempt to strong-arm our state into improving a pipeline that would hurt the environment and our water supply. National Grid spokeswoman Karen Young said the company will fully cooperate with the Attorney General's investigation and have provided information as a result of recent inquiries from her office.
Nurses at Albany Medical Center have been suspended after they failed to get their flu vaccinations. Under new policy at the hospital, the nurses have 7 days to get vaccinated or they risk their contracts being terminated. Albany Medical released a statement saying they will take whatever steps are needed to provide their patients the safest possible environment to receive care. Albany Medical Center is the only hospital in the state with a policy like this, with normal procedures across the state showing that nurses who are not vaccinated follow detailed masking procedures. Coming up later tonight, an update on the impeachment inquiry with Pelosi addressing the involvement of bribery.
And the Italian Council building is flooded almost immediately after rejecting measures on climate change.
Now let's take a quick look at the weather with Storm Team 10 meteorologist Walker Snowden.
Walker, what is the weather looking like tonight?
Well, let's go ahead and kick it off with our headlines. Through the next week, we could actually see more colder temperatures, and with those colder temperatures, we're going to have actually a sunny weekend, which is a great change. And average temperatures will be coming very, very soon. As for our current satellite and radar, not too much to show. Maybe a little bit overcast, but nothing for for precipitation, that is, and especially snow. But as for our today's highs of 37 here in Oswego, it's a little more closer towards average than what we're used to over the past couple of days. Around 29 in Harrisburg, but in general, we're around the upper 30s. Stay tuned for more news and sports after the break. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Storm Team meteorologist Walker Snowden. Let's just go ahead and take a look at our current temperatures around the entire country. As you can see, winter has a firm grasp on the United States right now, reaching all the way down 49 degrees currently in New Orleans. As you can see, for the entire southeast, it is pretty cold, especially up here for what we've been expecting in New York. As for our current temperatures, we are around 35 here in Oswego, similar around the entire region, around 30 degrees, maybe a little bit colder near Adams. Over the past couple days, we've seen record-setting lows, and so that's quite the change of pace. As for our current future cast, around 12 a.m., we can expect a little bit of snow over near Watertown, around 35 degrees. Not too much sticking because it's so warm or that much above freezing. But as we head further on into Friday morning, we could see a little bit more precipitation form right over Phoenix and Oneida Lake, and a little bit more over near Cleveland, up towards the Tug Hill area, 29 degrees in Harrisburg, and even more so as we head further on into Friday. Friday, around 40 degrees as a high temperature here in Oswego. Now get this, I don't want you to miss it. As we go from 3 p.m. Friday, we're going to see a whole slew of precipitation come through the area, and that's not going to just bring precipitation, it's going to bring low temperatures. As we continue into Saturday morning, 17 degrees is a low, 2 degrees here in Watertown. We're 33 right now and 2 degrees in just a little under a day. And as we continue into Saturday, we're not going to see too much for precipitation. Temperatures still remaining fairly low for what we've been expecting, but around 18 degrees here in Oswego, 18 in Fairhaven, but still a lot colder near the north and east part of the state. As for tomorrow, we're actually going to see temperatures around high around 37 degrees. It's going to remain cloudy. Winds west-northwest, 15 to 20 miles an hour. Not too bad for winds, not completely light. I'd say a fair jacket will keep you just fine. As for tomorrow night and tonight, 33 degrees, winds out of the south, 5 to 10 miles an hour. And as for our 7-day, as you can see here, Saturday, Sunday is actually going to be cold but sunny. And the reason that we can expect this sun is because we're actually going to have a high pressure system. That high pressure system is going to prevent us from any upward motion and forming of clouds. So while it is going to be sunny, it's still going to be a little cold. And as for the end of the week, we're finally going to get back to our normal average temperatures. A little bit of precipitation on Tuesday and Wednesday, maybe a little bit of snow, but more likely it's just going to remain rain. As we can continue into the next week, though, we should see more and more average temperatures. I'm Storm Team 10 meteorologist Walker Snowden. Stay tuned for more news and sports after the break.
Welcome back to WTOP 10 Nightly News. Following the first public impeachment hearing, Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi mentioned the word bribery in the Constitution's impeachment clause describing President Trump. Pelosi's allegation accuses President Trump of bribery when he withheld vital military assistance from Ukraine at the same time he was publicly investigating his political rivals. Pelosi says the impeachment inquiry is not about politics, but rather the patriotism of the American people.
This isn't about for Democrats. This is for the American people. This is about patriotism. It's not about politics, Democrats, Republicans. It's not about anything political. It's about patriotism. It's about honoring our oath of office.
No final decision has been made on whether to impeach President Trump, but Democrats are working to name President Trump's wrongdoing, moving towards a specific set of charges in the coming weeks.
Today, almost 4 months since the El Paso shooting, the Cielo Vista Walmart has reopened. Back in August, 22 people were killed and 24 people were wounded in what the FBI calls an act of domestic terrorism. Today, dozens of residents gathered and cheered under a hashtag El Paso Strong banner in honor of the store's reopening. Gilbert Cerna was one of the many people excited for the reopening. On the day of the El Paso shooting, Cerna was responsible for helping almost 100 people escape out the back of the store. A memorial for the victims of the El Paso shooting is set to be completed next week.
2 men from Massachusetts are using running to raise awareness about veteran suicides. They are trekking 500 miles all the way to Arlington National Cemetery in Virginia. Brian Spiros reports.
Game on, day 4.
Day 4, here we come. Morning.
And they're off. Brian Chersland and Josh Milich heading out bright and early from their hotel in Wallingford as they slowly but surely make their way to Arlington National Cemetery down in Virginia.
And the reason for the 500 miles was to do something so extreme that it forced people to look.
We want to do something so absurd that people would take notice.
And people are paying attention. The reason for this run is simple: to raise awareness for veteran suicide.
People come back from overseas and there's this stigma of being too strong to ask for help, but it's okay to not be okay.
The issue is pretty alarming. According to national data, 22 veterans take their own lives every day in the U.S. That's 154 a week. Both runners teaming up with Mission 22, a nonprofit that offers treatment for everything from post-traumatic stress to substance abuse.
Hopefully, what we're doing is we're telling them it's okay to ask for help.
Both of these runners averaging 50 miles a day, and they're getting support from others who are also concerned about this issue.
And we want all the veterans to know, pick up the phone, talk to somebody. You know, it is okay to ask for help.
Most times, one positive contact can not only change a life, it potentially could save a life.
And that's what the hope is in all of this, as these guys brave the elements and the physical pain from such a run.
You can't train for something of this magnitude. You know, we did our best to get ready, but now it's just, you know, we're doing it for the right reasons, and it's enough to push forward.
The runners are expected to arrive in Virginia Friday, November 22nd.
A German Instagram influencer has been sentenced to 4 years in prison after performing illegal beauty treatments. The pregnant 29-year-old influencer admitted in court to injecting hyaluronic acid into at least 35 different women's noses and lips. Patients of the influencer often complained of swelling or dents in their skin. The court ordered the Instastar to pay almost $600,000 in damages and unpaid taxes. The influencer, who had 100,000 Instagram followers at the time of her sentencing, will be temporarily released from jail to give birth.
Vento Regional Council was flooded for the first time in its history. After it rejected measures to combat climate change, This historic Italian city has been hit with the worst flood in more than 50 years. Democratic Party councilor Andrea Zanani said in a Facebook post, ironically, the chamber was flooded 2 minutes after the Majority League, Brothers of Italy, and Forza Italia parties rejected our amendments to tackle climate change. Among the rejected amendments were measures to fund renewable sources that would replace diesel buses, scrap polluting stoves, and reduce the impact of plastics.
China has completed its first public test of a Mars lander, keeping the country on track for its 2020 goal for an unmanned exploration of the red planet. The lander's trial took place earlier today in the Hubei province, almost an hour and a half north of Beijing. Chinese officials claim the mountainous landscape of the Hubei province mirrored the slopes and craters of Mars. The 2020 Chinese Mars mission coincides with NASA's planned Mars mission in the same year. The Chinese government declared today's lander test was a complete success. Coming up in sports, Zachary Haynes.
Zach, can you give us a quick preview?
Thanks, guys. We got some Oswego hockey and more coming up this weekend. Stay tuned after the break. And welcome back to WTOP10 Nightly News. I'm Zachary Haynes with your sports update. Tomorrow evening, the Oswego State Lakers host the Brockport Golden Eagles, but will also feature the school's 4th annual Teddy Bear Toss. At the game, fans are encouraged to bring a teddy bear or any stuffed animal and throw it onto the ice after Oswego's first goal. All the toys go to Toy for Tots in Oswego County. There will also be a food drive for fans to contribute to as well. Puck drop is at 7 p.m. in the Murano Campus Center. The return of basketball season in Oswego gets a big start with the MACZO's Women's Tournament. On Friday, the Lakers will take on the University of Wisconsin Superior Yellow Jackets. Both teams are looking to walk away with the W in this game. The tournament will also feature Clarkson and Morrisville. All 4 teams are looking to get some early season wins. Tip-off for Friday's game is at 7 p.m. in MACZO Gym. With the world of sports being vast and diverse, video games have made their way into the scene. Esports have joined the conversation of what a sport is. As this trend becomes more and more popular, the demand for a team becomes greater. I went out to find out more. Esports is making its way into the sports world. Games such as Fortnite offering $100 million in prize money in 2018, and many more offering thousands of dollars as well. Professional and collegiate teams both getting the chance to win prize money from gaming tournaments. But what about Oswego? SUNY Oswego's Esports Association has been growing over the years and competing in games such as Overwatch, Super Smash Bros., and many more. Now looking to expand and compete with more schools, Esports Association needs additional funding to include all of its players.
So most places at least have a area where their teams can practice together and do their games and such, so they have an area for that. We don't have that. Everyone's expected to use their own personal computers, which kind of ends up segregating off a section of our players.
However, the athletic department has said that starting a varsity esports team would be, quote, very difficult to subsidize this through the existing athletic fee, end quote. Some of the main concerns is the financial aspect of esports. The cost of games, computer setups, and other related issues is what makes some hesitant. Student Association's Ryan Green says this would be nearly impossible with how budgets are currently being made.
If you were to be asking them to go through athletics, athletics would then in theory be the ones responsible for supplying that gear. Our athletics department does run on a pretty tight budget. So to ask them to start funding our esports team to compete and stuff is a hefty request.
Zachary Haynes, WTOP10 News. Esports Association hosts regular events throughout the academic year. James Wiseman has been declared ineligible by the University of Memphis. The recent NCAA scandal has taken a new turn, with the school declaring Wiseman ineligible for the remainder of the season. This is so Memphis can file his reinstatement through the NCAA. The original issue was when Anthony Hardaway gave Wiseman and his family $11,500 to relocate from Nashville to Memphis for his AAU team. Wiseman participated in 3 games at the collegiate level. The NFL and the NFL Players Association are getting on track for a 17-game schedule. The agreement is getting closer to a signing between league officials and the NFLPA. owners are on board and working on getting all of their players on board for the 17-game schedule, although in the past the Players Union has been opposed due to player safety. No definite date has been set yet, but some believe we could see a change come as early as 2020. The NBA is heading into the thick of the season with a Western Conference showdown between the Rockets and the Clippers. And as we see here, James Harden is warming up for this big game between the Rockets and the Clippers. James Harden is going to take it into the paint for the bounce in to put the Rockets up 51-41 in the third. And as we move down the ways a little bit, Lou Williams passes it to Kawhi Leonard for the slam. Leonard is going to add to his total points for the game with that dunk. And then with this play up here, Leonard with his own step back three on Tucker to get 3 points in the last seconds of the third. That's going to put him up to 68. Harden shooting all the way from downtown with the three. He's going to take that shot. He makes it, getting the 90-86. And now Harden with the screen, and then his own step back three, gets the shot off, putting the Rockets up 95-88. The final will be 102-93. Harden will get 47 points, Leonard 26, and the Rockets continue their winning streak.
So, Walker, what are we looking at for the weather this weekend?
Well, you know, with that those sunny and warm temperatures, a little colder temperatures actually, we're actually going to see a positive feedback. So the sun is going to be super bright and sunny, and because we have that light layer of snow, it's going to be extremely, extremely bright. It's called albedo. It's actually the reflection. And actually, as we head further into the week, we're finally going to get out of this cold slew that we've been in, and finally, we're actually going to get a little bit normal temperatures.
That's good to see. All right. Well, that's our report for tonight. Be sure to stay tuned for the zine.
Thank you for watching. Have a great night, everyone.